Walk down any major street in Pattaya, Phuket, or Samui right now, and you'll see a disturbing pattern. It's not just the neon lights, it's the signs in the windows. For sale, for rent, lease takeover. While government statistics might paint a picture of booming tourism, the ground reality for many business owners is a different story, and frankly, it's a nightmare. What's really going on here? Why are these historic establishments, places that have survived for decades, suddenly throwing in the towel? We're diving into how changes in the economy and population are reshaping Thailand's top tourist spots. So let's break it down. Before the pandemic, the tourism landscape was heavily dominated by Western travelers, particularly from Europe and America. These tourists were known for their longer stays and higher daily spending habits. They'd come for weeks, even months, spreading their money across a wide range of businesses, from guest houses and local restaurants to tour operators and, yes, the famous nightlife venues. This created a thriving ecosystem where small businesses could flourish. A European backpacker might spend a month exploring, while a retiree could spend the entire winter season, becoming a temporary local and a reliable source of income for many. But now, the game has changed. Post-pandemic, there's been a massive shift in the tourist demographics. We're seeing a huge influx of visitors from nearby Asian countries, as well as from Russia and India. While this surge is boosting the overall arrival numbers, their travel patterns are fundamentally different. These new tourists often come on shorter trips, typically package tours that last just a few days. Their plans are all set, and they usually spend their money at certain places, many of which are owned by big foreign companies that cater just to these groups. Think of it like this. They arrive on a bus, eat at a designated restaurant, visit a specific attraction, and stay in a pre-booked hotel. Very little of that money trickles down to the independent bar owner or the local street food vendor. This creates a paradox. The airports are busy and the official numbers look great, leading the government to declare a successful recovery. But on the streets, the small and medium-sized businesses that form the backbone of these tourist towns are starving. The old customer base hasn't returned in the same numbers, and the new wave of tourists isn't spending money in the same places. They are left with high rents, rising costs, and empty seats. For them, the boom feels more like a bust. They're being squeezed out of the very market they helped to build. So while Thailand is open for business for many long-time entrepreneurs, it feels like closing time. What do you think is the solution? Is this just the new normal, or can something be done to help these small businesses survive? For the past 30 years, if you came to Thailand, you'd be surrounded by Western travelers. Europeans, Australians, and Americans, all escaping their cold winters for a sunny paradise. They were the backbone of Thai tourism. So where have they all gone? The answer, unfortunately, lies right in their wallets. Back home in the West, a massive cost of living crisis is unfolding. Inflation is soaring, energy bills are hitting record highs, and the price of everyday essentials keeps climbing. That disposable income people used to save up for a big holiday has all but vanished. For many, just getting through the month is a struggle. The idea of a long-haul trip to Asia has shifted from a dream to a fantasy. And it's not just about what's happening at home. The cost of getting here has exploded. Remember those cheap flights to Bangkok? They're a thing of the past. Right now, flight prices are anywhere from 40 to 60% higher than they were before the pandemic. A ticket that might have been $700 is now well over $1,000, sometimes even $1,500. When you add that huge expense to the already tight budgets, the math just doesn't work anymore. Suddenly, a cheap holiday in Thailand isn't so cheap. When you factor in the expensive flights, plus the rising cost of living back home, that month-long escape becomes an unaffordable luxury. The budget backpacker, once a common sight on Khao San Road, is becoming an endangered species. The hostels and guest houses that once catered to them are feeling the pinch. We're seeing a fundamental shift in who can afford to travel here. Tourists from Malaysia, China, and India are flocking in thanks to cheaper flights, while the traditional Western market is fading away. It's a tough reality for businesses that have spent decades catering specifically to them. From full English breakfast cafes to Irish pubs, many are wondering if their main customer base will ever return in the same numbers. So is Thailand simply too expensive for the West now? It's a complex question, but for millions of potential visitors, the answer right now is yes. The dream of Thailand is still alive, but the financial reality is keeping it just out of reach. It's a sobering thought for the future of tourism here. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. While the West retreats, a new wave has arrived, driven by necessity rather than leisure. Since the geopolitical conflict began, Thailand, specifically Phuket and Pattaya, has seen a massive surge in Russian arrivals. But these aren't your typical two-week tourists. Look around. You'll see Cyrillic signs on menus, Russian families enjoying Jamshid Beach, and real estate agencies flying Russian flags. This isn't just a vacation, it's a migration. Many are staying long-term to avoid the draft or escape the economic instability back home. They are buying condos, renting villas, and essentially setting up new lives here. This has created a ripple effect across the local landscape. In Phuket, some areas are now nicknamed Phuketgrad, a nod to the sheer concentration of Russian residents and businesses. You can find everything from Russian-owned grocery stores and restaurants to schools and community centers. This phenomenon is fascinating. It's creating these self-sustaining microeconomies that sometimes operate almost independently of the local Thai market. For instance, a Russian family might rent a condo from a Russian owner, eat at a Russian restaurant, and send their kids to a Russian language school, with money circulating primarily within their own community. This has a huge impact. On one hand, it's a massive injection of foreign capital. Property prices in these areas have skyrocketed. In the first quarter of last year alone, Russian nationals bought nearly 40% of all condos sold to foreigners in Phuket. That's a staggering number and a huge boost for the real estate sector. The demand is so high that new developments are popping up everywhere, specifically catering to this new wave of residents. But on the other hand, how does this long-term migration really change the local economy for everyone else? While the property market booms, many local Thai businesses, like small restaurants or tour operators, feel bypassed. They see a lot of new faces, but not necessarily a lot of new customers. The wealth being generated isn't always trickling down in the way traditional tourism does. It raises complex questions about integration, economic distribution, and the very identity of these beloved tourist towns. Is this a sustainable boom or a bubble waiting to burst? What happens when the conflict eventually ends? Will they stay or will they go? The transformation of places like Phuket and Pattaya is a live case study in modern migration, economics, and culture clash. Ever walked through a Thai tourist spot and felt a shift in the air lately? The languages, the music, the energy? It's changing. If you look closely at the arrival numbers, you'll see one flag rising faster than any other: India. Thailand is witnessing a seismic shift in its tourism landscape, and it's being driven by its massive, vibrant neighbor. With convenient visa waivers and flight times often shorter than a domestic trip back home, the burgeoning Indian middle class has adopted Thailand as their go-to getaway, their own personal backyard. And they're not just coming for a quiet holiday. We're talking about massive, multi-day destination weddings that take over entire luxury resorts in places like Hua Hin or Phuket. Imagine the scale: hundreds of guests, elaborate ceremonies, and budgets that can run into the millions of dollars. These are events that single-handedly fill hotels for a week straight. Then there's the other side of the coin. Check out lively spots like Pattaya or Sukhumvit, where friends are celebrating life. Weekend bachelor parties and group getaways have become incredibly popular. The energy is infectious, and it's bringing a whole new dynamic to Thailand's famous nightlife. These groups are looking for a good time, and they're finding it here. But this new wave is also creating ripples. The spending habits of Indian tourists are vastly different from the traditional European visitors that many businesses have catered to for decades. They have unique preferences for dining, seeking out authentic Indian cuisine or specific types of vegetarian food, which are now popping up everywhere. They also gravitate towards different forms of entertainment. A quiet pub that used to be filled with Western expats might now find itself empty, while a nearby club with Bollywood music is packed to the rafters. This isn't just a trend. It's a transformation. Some are calling India the new China for Thai tourism, recalling the boom of a decade ago. But it comes with its own set of cultural nuances and economic realities. The key question now is, are local businesses ready to adapt? Can they pivot from their long-standing Western-focused models to cater to this new, dominant demographic? It's a culture shock, but for those who can navigate it, the opportunity is immense. The Indian wave is here, and it's reshaping the land of smiles, one wedding, one party, and one plate of biryani at a time. When Thailand reopened its borders, everyone held their breath, waiting for the Chinese tourists to return. The expectation was a massive wave of visitors, a flood that would instantly revive the struggling tourism sector. After all, before 2019, they were the single largest group filling hotels, restaurants, and shopping malls. The news came, China was reopening. The industry prepared for the boom. But the flood everyone anticipated turned out to be more of a trickle. The numbers are climbing, yes, but they're nowhere near the pre-pandemic levels. The tour buses that once clogged the streets of Bangkok and Phuket are noticeably fewer, so what happened? Why isn't the return of Chinese tourists the silver bullet everyone hoped for? The first part of the story is China's own economy. It's slowing down. People have less disposable income for lavish overseas trips. The big spending tour groups of the past, the ones that would buy out entire shops, are just not traveling in the same numbers. The economic reality back home has changed their priorities. But there's a bigger shift happening, a change in the very nature of the Chinese tourist. The ones who are coming now are different. They're younger, more independent, and incredibly tech-savvy. Forget the large, flag-following tour groups. We're now seeing free independent travelers or FITs. They plan their own itineraries, often inspired by social media platforms like Xiaohongshu, which is like a Chinese version of Instagram. They're not interested in the old-school tourist traps, the huge seafood restaurants built for busloads of people, or the traditional nightlife districts. Instead, they're seeking out unique, Instagrammable experiences. Think trendy cafes with beautiful latte art, boutique shops with local designs, and scenic spots that will look great on their social media feeds. They're explorers, not just consumers. And here's the crucial part for Thai businesses. How they spend their money has completely changed. They live within a digital ecosystem. They use Chinese apps like Ctrip to book flights and hotels. They navigate with Baidu Maps. And most importantly, they pay for almost everything using WeChat Pay or Alipay. This creates a kind of closed loop. A Chinese tourist can come to Thailand, visit businesses that are often linked to Chinese investors, eat at restaurants that accept Chinese payment apps. And the money they spend flows through these channels with a significant portion potentially never even entering the local Thai economy in the way it used to. This is the so-called $0 tour phenomenon, but in a new digital form. While the tourist is physically here, their economic impact is contained within a system that largely bypasses many local small and medium-sized businesses. The old model of waiting for tour guides to bring customers to your door is no longer working. So for Thailand's tourism industry, this is a moment of reckoning. It's not just about getting the numbers back up. It's about adapting to a completely new type of traveler. It's about understanding their digital habits, their desire for authentic experiences, and finding ways to integrate into their world. The old playbook is obsolete. The businesses that will thrive are the ones that can pivot, get online, embrace digital payments, and offer the unique, shareable moments this new generation of travelers is looking for. The Chinese tourists have returned, but the game has completely changed. Have you ever felt like your money just doesn't go as far as it used to in Thailand? You're not imagining it, and it's not just you. Let's break down why the land of smiles is starting to feel a lot more expensive, especially for Western tourists. For years, Thailand was the go-to destination for budget travel. You could live like a king on a shoestring budget. But things have changed, and a big part of the story is currency exchange rates. The Thai baht has been on a wild ride, but not in the way you might think. While many Western currencies have weakened over the past decade, the baht has held its ground surprisingly well. Let's talk math. It's the key to understanding this. Picture this, about 10 years ago, if you came from Europe with €1, you could exchange it for around 45, sometimes even 50 Thai baht. That was a pretty sweet deal. Fast forward to today, and that same euro might only get you 36 baht if you're lucky. That's a huge drop. The same story applies to the British pound and even the Japanese yen. Your home currency simply buys less baht than it used to. But that's only half of the equation. We also need to talk about local inflation within Thailand itself. Just like everywhere else in the world, the cost of living in Thailand has been rising. Think about a classic dish, Pad Thai. A few years back, you could easily find a delicious plate from a street vendor for 40 baht. Now, that same plate is often 70 or 80 baht, especially in tourist areas. That's double the price. Or consider a local beer. What was once a 50 baht treat might now be closer to 80 or 90 baht in a convenience store. So, when you combine these two factors, your weaker currency buying fewer baht, And each baht buying less than it used to, you get a double whammy effect. Your overall purchasing power as a tourist has been slashed. Some estimates suggest your money buys 30 to 50% less than it did just 5 or 10 years ago. It's a massive difference that you really feel in your wallet every day you're there. This shift has changed the travel landscape. Thailand is no longer the undisputed bargain basement of Southeast Asia. It's now facing stiff competition from its neighbors. Countries like Vietnam, the Philippines, and Cambodia are increasingly attracting budget-conscious travelers who are finding that their money stretches much further there. So is the era of cheap Thailand officially over? Well, it's definitely not the super budget paradise it once was. It's evolving into more of a mid-range destination. You can still have an amazing and relatively affordable trip, but you need to adjust your expectations and your budget. The days of rocking up with a few $100s and living lavishly for a month are fading into memory. What do you think? Have you noticed the price hikes on your recent trips to Thailand? Pattaya is a city with a split personality. On one hand, you have this: the glittering neon signs of Walking Street, the countless beer bars, the nightlife that earned it a global reputation. For decades, this was Pattaya's brand, a haven for single Western men looking for a good time. But that demographic is changing. The old guard is aging and a new wave of tourists is arriving. The Thai government sees the future, and they're desperately trying to pivot. They're pouring billions into rebranding Pattaya as a world-class family destination. Think Miami of the East. They're building shiny new shopping malls, state-of-the-art water parks, and promoting family-friendly festivals. You can see the change happening. Families from Russia, China, and India are now walking the streets, looking for a completely different kind of vacation. And that's where the problem lies. There's a massive mismatch between what the city offers and what these new tourists want. How do you reconcile thousands of bars designed for a specific kind of nightlife with the demand for wholesome family fun? You have these two worlds clashing right next to each other. One street is a sensory overload of bars and music, while the next block over features a family-friendly restaurant or a brand-new condo complex. This isn't just a marketing challenge. It's a fundamental identity crisis. The city's entire economy was built on a model that is becoming obsolete. Bar owners who have been here for decades are wondering where their customers went. Meanwhile, developers are betting big on a family-centric future. Can a city so famous for its adult entertainment truly transform into a playground for kids? It's a painful and awkward transition. Pattaya is caught between its past and its future, and nobody is quite sure which side will win. The city is essentially trying to perform a heart transplant while the patient is still awake. Can you really erase a reputation that's been cemented for over half a century? Or will Pattaya forever be a city of contrasts? A place where go-go bars and water parks exist in an uneasy truce? The battle for Pattaya's soul is happening right now, and the outcome is anything but certain. What do you think? Can Sin City truly become Family City? Have you ever walked down a street in Thailand and felt like something's different? A few years ago, these streets were lined with bustling bars, lively music, and the clinking of glasses. Now, there's a new glow on every corner, a distinct green neon leaf that has become impossible to ignore. Welcome to the new era of Thai nightlife, an era defined by the cannabis factor. Since decriminalization, the landscape of tourist towns has been completely redrawn. It's almost a game now. Walk 100 meters in any popular area, and you'll likely pass not one, not two, but maybe 5 cannabis dispensaries. These shops have popped up with incredible speed, replacing what used to be gold shops, tailor stands, and even those classic open-air beer bars that were once the heart and soul of the evening scene. You can see it everywhere. Brightly lit dispensaries stand right next to once thriving bars that are now quiet or even permanently closed. The sidewalks are dotted with small groups of people, not with a beer in hand, but with a different kind of smoke swirling around them. This green rush, as some call it, has undeniably attracted a new type of tourist, but it's also dramatically shifted the local economy and the social vibe. So, what's the real impact? For one, alcohol consumption in certain areas is reportedly down. It seems many tourists are choosing to switch their buzz from alcohol to cannabis. This has a direct effect on bars and restaurants that relied on drink sales to stay afloat. They're finding it harder to compete in this new environment. But the story goes deeper than just changing consumer habits. The rapid, and some would say unregulated, Explosion of these dispensaries has created a fierce battle for commercial real estate. Cannabis is a high-margin business, and shop owners are willing to pay top dollar for prime locations. This has driven up commercial rents to levels that many traditional businesses simply can't afford. The family-run restaurant, the local souvenir shop, the friendly neighborhood bar, they're being priced out, unable to keep up with the deep pockets of the cannabis industry. What we're witnessing is a fundamental transformation of Thai street corners. It raises some big questions. Did the green rush kill the classic beer bar? Is this rapid change sustainable, or will the bubble burst? This isn't just about what people are consuming. It's about the identity of these places and the future for small, local businesses trying to survive in the shadow of the green glow. It's a fascinating, complex issue playing out right before our eyes, changing the face of Thailand one block at a time. Ever wonder why you're seeing so many for sale signs on bars, restaurants, and hotels lately? It's not just a coincidence, and the story is more complex than you might think. Let's peel back the layers and understand what's really happening. During the height of the pandemic, many landlords were understanding. They hit the pause button on rent, giving businesses a crucial lifeline when their doors were shut. It was a temporary truce in a tough time. Everyone was just trying to survive, holding on with the hope that once things opened up, everything would snap back to normal. But that's not what happened. Now, those same landlords are back, and they're not just asking for today's rent. They want the full rent from the lockdown period, often with interest tacked on. Imagine running a bar. You've been struggling for 3 years. Your savings are gone. You've probably taken on debt just to keep the lights on. You were banking on a huge wave of customers, a post-pandemic boom that everyone talked about. But that boom never really materialized. The reality is, customer habits have changed. People go out differently now. The crowds just aren't at 2019 levels. So business owners are stuck in an impossible situation. Their income is down, but their biggest expense, rent, is suddenly skyrocketing to cover past and present costs. They're trying to negotiate with their landlords, explaining that the market has changed, that the old rent prices just aren't sustainable anymore. But many landlords are refusing to budge. They're locked into their own financial expectations, unwilling to lower rents to match the new economic reality. What we're seeing is a bubble. Not a housing bubble, but a bubble of expectation versus reality. Business owners held on for years, fueled by hope and piling up debt. Landlords expected their properties to keep generating the same high income as before. Now that bubble is popping. The owners are exhausted, emotionally and financially. They can't keep fighting a losing battle. Selling isn't a sign of failure. For many, it's the only logical choice left. It's a painful end to a dream they fought so hard to keep alive. So when you see that for sale sign, remember the story behind it. It's a clash of pandemic aftershocks, mismatched expectations, and the harsh financial reality of a world that hasn't quite healed. So, we've journeyed through the changing streets of Thailand, from the bustling markets of Bangkok to the quiet beaches of Phuket. We've seen the for sale signs and heard the whispers of a tourism crisis. But what does it all really mean? Is this the end of Thailand as we know it? The simple answer is no. Thailand isn't dying. It's evolving. The old postcard image of Thailand as the ultra-cheap playground for Western backpackers is fading into the sunset, much like the one we're watching now. That era, the one many of us remember, is slowly being replaced. A new chapter is being written, and the main characters are changing. Look around. The crowds are different now. You'll hear more Mandarin, more Russian, more Hindi. Travelers from across Asia and Eastern Europe are flocking here, bringing with them different expectations, different budgets, and a different way of experiencing the country. This isn't a decline, it's a demographic shift, a massive one. The businesses we see for sale, those bars and guest houses that once catered almost exclusively to a Western crowd, are casualties of this transition. They are relics of a bygone era, struggling to adapt to a new market that they may not fully understand yet. It's a painful but natural part of economic evolution. The old business model is no longer the only game in town. So what does this mean for you, the tourist? For starters, it means adjusting your mindset. Thailand is still incredibly beautiful, the food is still sensational, and the people are still welcoming. But it's no longer the absolute cheapest destination on the block. Prices have risen, and the $5 a day dream is mostly just that, a dream. However, while it may not be the cheapest, it remains one of the most vibrant, diverse, and enchanting places on Earth. The energy is still here. It's just speaking a different language. The adventure is still here. It's just found in new places and new experiences. You can still have an incredible time, but you need to come with an open mind and perhaps a slightly bigger budget. The big question now isn't whether tourists will come, but whether Thailand can adapt quickly enough. Can the infrastructure, the local businesses, and the tourism industry as a whole pivot to welcome these new guests? Can they learn to cater to new tastes and preferences while preserving the unique Thai culture that everyone comes here for in the first place? The future of Thai tourism hangs in the balance, caught between a nostalgic past and an uncertain but potentially exciting future. The old Thailand is gone. Welcome to the new Thailand. The real question is, are you still coming? Thanks for watching this journey with me. If you found this insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to join us on our next exploration. See you in the comments.